So you're trying to quit your job to go full-time on the internet so you can work from home, work from anywhere in the world and make money online, make money on the internet. So that is your ultimate goal. But how do you do it, and is it really worth it? Is it very profitable? Is it better to have an internet business over a job? Well, today we're going to discuss just that. Also, coming up towards the end of today's episode is I'm going to actually explain how you can get started today building your internet business so that you are able to actually quit your job. So firstly, a job versus an internet business. Exactly why would you build an internet business if you've got a nice job? Well, if you're anything like me, back in 2008, I had lost all faith in working for companies and having jobs. I just couldn't seem to really enjoy it. I couldn't ever really seem to relax in any type of job. I had tons and tons of different jobs. In fact, I actually spent 6 years in the armed forces when I was much younger, from the age of 16 to 22. And then I left the armed forces, and then I had lots of different jobs from the age of 22 up to about 27, which is when I started to work online. So in that 5 years when I left the armed forces, I had lots of different jobs. Like, I worked in like everywhere, you name it, I did it. And I never really felt like I could fit in, and I really wanted to do that for the rest of my life. I just felt like there was something that I needed to do different. So you might feel the same as I did. You just feel like you either don't fit in, or you've got bigger ambitions to just work for someone else. And if you feel like that, don't worry that you're different. Don't worry that this is how you feel, because lots of people do go through this. But the difference is, what are you going to do about it? Do you just stay in your job? Are you just going to work in your job every day and just complain and just be unhappy? Or are you actually going to do something about it? And this is what I did back in 2008. I took the plunge and I bought my first laptop and then tried to figure all of this stuff out. It took time. It took a lot of work, a lot of effort. But back then, there was very few people to really learn from. Whereas now, there's lots more information out there. So a job versus an internet business, what are the benefits? What are the pros and cons? Because there's always pros and cons with everything you do. Well, let's quickly discuss a job. Right? So you're in a job, you get paid every week or every month, you're on a nice salary. Well, it might not be a nice salary, but you get paid. And you're guaranteed to get paid as long as you stay in the job and you do your work. So having a job is a case of you trading your time for money. That was what I quickly realized after I started to work on the internet to make money, because you actually have to physically be at your job to make money. And it doesn't start as soon as you leave the house, because you may have to commute to work. So you go out of your house, sometimes you've got a 10-15 minute car journey, bike ride, train journey, bus ride, whatever it is. You may have to walk to work. So you get up in the morning and then you go to work. So that journey could be half hour. You're not getting paid for that half hour most of the time in most jobs. You just don't. So you got half hour and then you get to work, you do your job, you have some lunch, you have some breaks during the day, and then you leave the job to come home. So during that day, you've got 8 or 9 hours that you're out of your house for. So you are trading that 8 or 9 hours for money in your bank. And that is how jobs generally work. Now, one thing I will say is, yes, not every job is equal. There are some jobs out there that you could become a doctor. There's some great careers out there and great jobs out there for some people. But not everyone is going to be in a position where they can go and get these jobs, because you're going to get paid really well if you're a surgeon, if you're a doctor. But for most people, you are not going to be on that type of money. For most people, for most of us, and I certainly wasn't. I wasn't. I didn't have loads and loads of qualifications. So it's a case of, yes, you can make money, but unless you're very high up and you've got you've got a very, very good job, you're not really ever going to make the good money. So you're going to be trading your time for your money most of the time. And this is just how jobs work. That time will be better served you working on yourself and building something for yourself for the future. So yes, some people love to be in jobs. That might be for you. However, if you're watching today's episode, then there's a very good chance that you're seriously thinking about leaving your job, or you'd love to leave your job to start an internet business. An internet business has many more benefits than just having a job, like thousands more. One of the main benefits of an internet business is you are able to use systems in order to leverage your time. Because in a job, you only have 8 or 9 hours and you have to physically be there. So you're capable of only doing 8 or 9 hours work per day in your job. With an online business, you're able to use systems and use tools and set things up in a certain way that in so many weeks and months' time, as long as you set things up the right way, your efforts will compound. So the first week in your internet business, you might do 10 or 20 hours. And then the second week, you might do 10 or 20 hours. And then the third week and fourth week and fifth week and the 50th week, you may do 10 to 20 hours a week in your internet business. But what will happen is, because you set things up in a certain way, your efforts will compound. So after, say, a year or a couple of years of working in your business, you will find that your results will constantly compound and they will just grow. And that means that you don't have to be at your laptop or your computer in order for your income to grow, in order for your sales to come in more frequently and your money to increase. And this is the great thing about an internet business, is because you're not just trading your time for money. I mean, you could trade your time for your money if you wanted to write for people, write articles, write sales copy. That's going to be a case of trading your time for money, because you can't really automate that. There isn't really any type of system that you could do that type of task online. So this is why a proper internet business is very, very hard to beat. And I realized this back in 2008 very quickly. Within a few months, I realized that, do you know what, I've stumbled across something here which is extremely valuable and extremely powerful. So I took that and ran with it. And that was why from 2008, I just didn't look back. I just learned as much as I could. And this is what I suggest that you do as well. Learn as much as you can, but just also take action. So a job, you're trading time for money, versus an internet business where you're able to leverage your time and use systems to be much more productive and get so much more work done. The way that I like to look at it with an internet business is, it's like you having a sales force of 5,000 people. I know that sounds funny, that sounds strange, but once you set these systems up, because things are going to be working in the background for you. For instance, right, let's say you had 10 or 20 videos out there all working for you. Every single day, those videos are going to get views. Every single day, if you have a call to action in those videos or links within those videos, people can go to those videos and click on links and go through to your business and maybe buy stuff and check out other things in your business. So those 10 to 20 videos are working for you 24 hours a day. They will never stop. So it's like each video is like a person working in your business. And then within the video, you've got links. So those videos are working for you 24 hours a day, except you don't pay the video to work for you. It's completely free. Now, let's imagine if you had 500 videos out there, or 500 articles, all of a sudden you've got 500 people working for you for free. It's completely free. And this is how, or this is why the internet is a very, very hard business model to beat, because you're able to use time to your advantage. You're able to use systems and create content and distribute it over the web so that you're able to make sales, make more money, while you're not even sat there trading your time for money. Because in a job, you would have to be there 8 to 9 hours a day. Whereas in internet business, you're actually building something for the future. So I hope that makes sense. So that is the difference between a job and an internet business. You have so much more potential building an internet business, and you probably already know that, but I wanted to explain that to you just so you can be crystal clear. If you are fed up in your job, this is a very, very good option, and it's something that does take a bit of work. Of course it does. Everything will take a little bit of work to get it off the grounds, but once you start building your content, once you start creating your systems, you will quickly realize that it's one of the best things that you ever did. It certainly was for me. So I'm just talking from my own experience. Now, the next thing that I want to discuss is, how do you actually get started? If you've come from a job, or you are coming from a job, and you want to build an internet business, how do you actually do it? And what is the next step? Well, firstly, you need to understand that the internet and your business is made up largely of just content. You need content in your business, whether that's going to be free content, paid content, whatever it is. Could be videos, articles, just content, yeah. And within that content, you're giving value. And this is how you build your brand. This is how you build your business. So you need to decide and have a think about what it is that you're already good at, the skills you already have. Do you have anything that you can bring online, bring on the internet? Because this is normally the first thing that you need to do, is have a think about what skills you already have. Are you already good at graphic design? Are you good at creating videos? Maybe you're a software engineer. Maybe you're good at all the software developing side of things. Maybe you're a good copywriter. Maybe you're in the fitness industry. Maybe you've got some skills. Maybe you've got a hobby of yours that you're really good at. Maybe you're interested in history. You know, you can start a YouTube channel all about history and create videos and narrate them. Maybe you're really interested in traveling. Maybe you love to travel. Create a travel blog, a travel website, a travel YouTube channel, and just go around the country making quick short videos. People have done that. People have started just with a mobile phone and gone around the country and just visited different local places and made videos about it, and their YouTube channel has really grown. You know, people have done that. I know people in my local area that have done that as well. So you've got all these different options. That's the first thing you need to do, is think about what you're good at, what you're already good at, what skills you already have, what field you're in, you know, what your profession already is, because that will largely depend on the angle that you go in at online. If you already have some of these skills and things that you can bring on the internet, you're already halfway there. Now, of course, if you don't already have skills that you can bring on the internet and you can leverage in order to build a business around, don't panic. There are other options, because this is what I had to do. When I came to the internet in 2008, I didn't really know anything. I was pretty clueless, if I'm honest. I couldn't really even write an email. I was that bad. So I had to teach myself all the basics. Now, I'd like to think most people now are not quite that bad, because you've got YouTube. You know, people are so used to using all these social media platforms and email. Generally, people are not going to be as bad as me, I would hope, because 2008, the internet was still much more new than what it is now. So that was, you know, almost 20 years ago. So once you figured that part out, what you want to go into, what you want to get involved in, what kind of niche market industry, have a little bit of a think, write everything down, write your hobbies down, your sports, what you're good at, what you can actually charge people money for. Perhaps you've got a business already. If you don't, if you just have a job, if you work somewhere, but there's not really much that you can bring online or leverage to make money from on the internet, then decide on what interests you and then create a little business around that. Now, here's just a quick example. This is an off-the-cuff example. Let's say there's nothing out there that you can leverage, that you can use to bring on the internet from part of your job. Let's say you've got an interest in history, for instance. You could create, and like when I say an interest, I'm talking about an interest where you know more than the average person. So you are quite knowledgeable in a particular interest. Yeah. Go and create some type of a YouTube channel around it, and then create some educational videos. The best piece of advice I can give you is just make a start with something, because once you start to do things, the ideas will start to flow. As you actually do things and you create content and you get results and you build a bit of an audience, you may then come up with a different idea that you can use in your business. And this is the secret. This is the great thing. This is why people always tell you to just take action. Take action, go and do stuff. Because when you take action, the ideas start to flow. It's no different than when you start to write things down. You start to write things down and the ideas sometimes start to flow, don't they? It's no different to when you work on the internet. So that is how you can get started this week if you're looking to transition from a full-time job or a part-time job to an internet business. You can do it. Takes a little bit of time, the same as anything, but as long as you're armed with the right information, you will be absolutely fine. Now, if you do want to go down the route of starting your own internet-based business, I've got a 7-day bootcamp that you're welcome to go and grab. You can go through the bootcamp. I've got lots of videos in there which will teach you and explain how to get started going from a job to your internet business, and how you can start making sales and generating income on the internet in your business. So just go over to coffeeshopincome.com/bootcamp. There will be a link below today's video. If you're listening to this on a podcast, it will also be below. But if you're watching this on YouTube or any of our other platforms, then there will be a link below this video. So click on the link, go over, and you can grab your free training. That's coffeeshopincome.com/bootcamp. So that is how you can transition from a full-time job to an internet business. You do have to think about what skills you already have, what things you can bring to the internet, what type of value you can provide. So just remember, you can do it. You just need to make a start, crack into it, start learning all of this stuff, and don't look back. This is what I did in 2008. There's lots of different things to learn, but I honestly do believe that it's easier now than it's ever been. It's just the distractions along the way. There's lots of distractions. So if you can remain focused, head down, crack into it, don't look back, you will do absolutely fine. So thanks for watching today. See you in the next episode.